Thanks for tuning in to That Husband podcast with me, Black Newborn. Today's episode is proudly brought to you by Solal. And we have the privilege of sitting with Dr. Khuliso Ramashia. And we speak about the pressures that men are under, particularly those who are husbands, fathers, and still have to show up as providers for those that they love. How do they deal with their own stresses? How do they deal with their fatigue? Secondly, we zoom the spotlights on him as somebody who has such a demanding career. How does he deal with his own stress? How does he navigate his own fatigue? Well, he lets us in on why it's important for us as men to have creative outlets. But what happens when that creative outlet becomes the very thing that takes you away from your family? And lastly, he's somebody who's very passionate about men's health overall, and particularly the South African man. And so he gives us a very alarming call to say to men, it is high time that we take our health more seriously. All of this on today's episode. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can do better. Before we jump into this episode, we want to thank you again for supporting us by buying us coffee so that we are energized to keep on making this content. If you're wondering what that's about, there's a link in our comment section that you can click on. Buy us as many coffees as possible so that we keep on making what we are doing here. And secondly, if you want to continue supporting us, you can book me as an MC for your next event, and that's at booking@blacknewborn.com. That's at booking@blacknewborn.com. The husband that's sitting across the table from me today is Dr. DJ, husband, father, businessman. Bro, do you have a middle name?
I do.
What's your middle name?
I've got two, actually.
Khuliso. What's up, dude?
What's up?
That's dope, man. What's your middle name? Or what are your middle names?
I've got two.
Yeah.
So my mom had difficult pregnancies.
Okay.
And she miscarried before me.
Okay.
So my names are, it's like her saying thank you to the Lord for keeping me. So the first one's Gebaba Letswe.
Okay.
Second one, Tireletso.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Like you have serious names.
No, it's for real. It's for real. They don't fit on, in those class register things.
Nah, they couldn't. Bro.
Yeah. Tirele, and then
you're gonna dribble the teachers.
Dribble them.
Yeah. They're probably gonna just abbreviate.
No, it was Khuliso, and then just ends there.
It's dope, man. Bro, thanks for pulling through, man.
Anytime, man.
Appreciate this, bro. Appreciate it. We were on another podcast, but like 500 years ago.
It's been a minute.
Shy.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
COVID.
I know.
COVID.
Was it COVID?
It was COVID.
Hey.
COVID.
It's nuts, bro.
Yeah.
But we here. Before we get into it, man, we trying to compile this resource to write a book to give to young guys who are discouraged, don't have any hope for marriage, because maybe they've seen bad examples or don't have any examples at all. But we also want to encourage guys who are walking alone, husbands who don't have the benefit of being around other husbands and just feel discouraged. And so we want to put names of guys who are, failing forward, showing up, not superheroes at all, but are trying to take seriously the call of being a husband. And we get their names by asking our guests to give us two names of guys who either inspired you to get married or who inspire you to stay married now.
To keep it.
Yeah.
Okay. You want the names now?
Yeah.
I've got two mates, so I must give them the link for this so they can watch.
Still, bro.
But one mate of mine's my kid's godfather.
Yeah.
Brad Furry.
Sure.
We're in med school together. Dope guy. Father of one.
Yeah.
And the second one is a guy called Papa Che. Also good mate of mine. Loves the Lord. Loves his wife. Good father. Yeah.
What about those guys?
I think it's they've taken the what do you call it? The baton, so to speak. So I mean, in school we were regular guys, man. You go to school, you do the whole studying thing. You do the whole other varsity thing that I won't elaborate on. But like we lived you know what I'm saying? We lived the typical life.
Sure.
Then they fell in love, but like there was a switch, but it wasn't a dramatic switch, and it wasn't like a fake switch.
Yeah.
It was just like, you know what? This is what the Bible says being a husband is.
Sure.
This is what being a father is. And like it hasn't been easy, man. You know, they've had their own issues that they can speak about, but they've really just like you said, failing forward.
Yeah.
Taken the baton, run the race, struggled, you know, with work and all sorts of stuff. So for me, it's that. It's like they're not the perfect example.
Sure.
They just like decided. It was more like a choice. I'm gonna do this, and I've rolled with the punches and stuff. So
dope, man.
and because I think we like same age, same season, it's like seeing guys, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to be like you because like I see me in you type of thing.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
Speaking about that, I didn't think I was going to ask you this, but like the importance of having male role models. And guys now your age, you know, so typically would get dudes who are older, which there's a lot of benefit in that because those guys come with wisdom. But from your experience, just the importance of having like peers who are, you know, role models. Why is that important?
No, so I think for me, I was one of the younger guys. When I got married, I was one of the younger guys to be married, especially as a black gent. So I was 24 when I got married.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Almost 10 years I've been married.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it this morning. I'm like, it has to be what, 8?
It's a minute, 8 years.
Yeah,
8 years, yeah.
Yeah, that's dope, bro.
It's been, So
Sure.
at that time, no one my age was married in terms of black gents.
Yeah.
So my friends and stuff. So you tend to gravitate towards older guys because they're the married guys.
Yeah.
So a lot of my married friends are like a small generation ahead of me, 5 years or so. And that was important, man, because the guys my age just, although they were good guys, even the friends I've mentioned, dope guys, but just different season. So like, for instance, you know, as a dad and as a married guy, your schedule on a weekend and an unmarried schedule is different. Even your understanding of time is a different thing. So I think hanging out with those guys was dope, but it's like, Oaks, you know, I've got a kid that needs to sleep in half an hour. Or I've got a wife at home and like, you know, those dynamics. So I think having guys married older than me was good because like we're doing the same thing. But I think the real like magic came when guys my age started getting married because then it's a lot more things are similar. So same season, same age, doing the same stuff, and you've all got kids. So the conversation is a lot more the same, it's more fluid, and you just can't do it alone. So before I had those guys who were married, you're isolated, and although you've got, it's like almost tiers, like levels, like an iceberg. So you've got friends at the tip, and you know, but below the surface, there's just no relation. So you're having conversations by yourself. You're figuring stuff out by yourself. So for instance, how do you prioritize your wife? What's that conversation like with an unmarried guy? Theoretical, yeah, man, love her.
Buy flowers.
Buy flowers. Even, but it's like you don't wake up to this person every day, so you don't know what it, you know. So those things, it was important, I think. And then also being friends with guys newly married. So I think that also, like, you see the new fire now, something that after a couple of years, you know, not that you lose it, but things are different, you know, different, and especially with kids. So I think having friends at those different levels, a generation ahead, your level, and new married, it's been important.
That's dope, bro. Yeah, man. I was 25 when I got married. So yeah.
Oh, you've been.
Yeah.
You've been.
Bro. Because we just hit 10 this year.
Serious. Nice.
So
nice.
we a couple of months away from the 11th year.
Hectic.
Which is exciting. It feels like a new marriage.
I feel you.
Yeah.
At 10 years, you felt that at 10 years.
And I don't even think it's because we married for 10 years. I think because we had some serious chats this year.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think from probably year 8, 9, I mean, it was shaky.
Oh, it was hot. That's marriage. That's marriage.
It was real.
Yeah.
It was real. Like, I mean, I've shared this before on this podcast, but in my third year of varsity, I was homeless for like 4 months.
Okay.
You know, and I thought, man, those years were rough. In fact, my whole varsity life was just hectic. I was like, man, it's rough until
until
yeah,
the
year 8 and 9 of marriage.
real
I was like,
life.
yeah. I was like, listen, wisdom tells me that I should never say that's my worst years, right? Just
Yeah.
say it was rough.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's coming,
You
right?
don't know what's ahead of you.
Yeah.
I feel you. I
So
feel
I
you.
think because of how hectic that was and just
Mm,
the subsequent conversations we had,
mm,
man, like, yeah, I say year 10 has been very restorative.
mm.
It's been very healing.
I hear you.
And so we're seeing a new marriage come out,
Hectic.
man. So it's exciting. It's
Mm,
exciting, man.
mm.
We had conversations this year of things that happened 10 years ago
Serious.
that we
You'd never
didn't,
spoken
nah,
about these stuff.
nah, bro.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
Okay.
like we kind of had not a direct conversation about
Mm.
certain things, but we nibbled at the conversations,
Okay.
and then now it was like, let me tell you what was going on
Let me
for the
let's
past
talk.
10 years. Right?
Let's talk. Hectic.
With this particular thing.
Mm,
Like and I'd consider us a couple that speaks. We speak quite a lot,
mm,
but there were just
mm,
other things, man. It was like, yo, yeah, we're tiptoeing around those things. And so once we
mm.
had the conversation,
Then
yeah,
it's
it became a
mm,
new marriage, man.
hectic.
So but yeah,
I look
we'll
forward to that.
hey man, yeah.
Yeah.
2 kids now, bro.
Two kids. Two
Man,
kids.
how's that
Yeah.
been? Boys.
Boys. Yeah. No, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So the first one, I'm saying it publicly, public knowledge. First one was unexpected.
Sure.
So I think I was in ComServe.
Yeah.
So my career, profession, internship 2 years after varsity,
Yeah.
ComServe.
Yeah.
So I was living my best-ish life. And I was in ComServe far away, smoking. My wife was here.
Yeah.
So I get a call. I was busy with a patient. Get a call. She's huffing and puffing. No intro.
Yeah.
Babe, I'm pregnant. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I dropped the phone
Yeah.
because I wasn't ready for the call. I'll deal with it later. Finished what I was doing, drove from Val back here, 100 and something Ks. So I'm like, you were saying something over the phone,
Yeah.
just
And as you're driving, you're not calling.
nothing.
You're not
I'm
thinking.
silent. I literally drove in silence. So I'm like, chat your chat again. What are you saying?
Yeah.
So she had the test there. We did it again. Yeah. So that was the first kid.
Bro.
Unexpected. And that changed life in the sense that you're not parents, you become parents,
Yeah.
So yeah, but the real change came with number 2.
Sure.
So number 2 was planned.
Yeah.
He came 20 months after number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with number 1, it's like it's two, not like it's war, but it's 2 against 1.
Yeah.
You take, it's a bit balanced. Well, I think number 2 is just like it cuts you down the middle,
Yeah.
and it tests your marriage in ways I myself wasn't ready for.
Sure.
So I think we felt like we had things figured out. And number 1 came during COVID. And so everything was
that's
quite,
nice, man.
neat, and everything was put together. Finances were working out, everything.
You're at home.
We had,
You have time. You feel
we
like
have
the best dad
time.
ever in the world.
She sleeps, I look after the kid. Like it worked.
Yeah.
And I think at the time, although he wasn't planned, our lives were like together, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So we're still struggling a bit financially, but things were like making sense. Number 2 came at a time unexpected. So I started a specialization program, which is family toxic.
Sure.
Bethany was working full time.
Sure.
We're moving house, and so it was a time. Bro. It was really a time, and that changed everything. So we weren't ready for that. Even to this day, I'm still like,
still recovering, bro.
I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Number 1s are never planned.
No one's never planned, but I think God gives you the grace to you know what? You weren't ready, but I'll make you ready.
Yeah.
Number 2 is like,
Yeah.
you're ready, right? Here's a kid.
And my wife is gonna kill me because our number 1 was planned. I was just empathizing with your son because I'm number 1.
I feel you.
And I wasn't planned.
You weren't planned.
Nah. My mother didn't even know she was pregnant until like 7 or 8 months.
Seriously?
Yeah.
And she's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. No, somebody told her. An older lady was like,
there's something.
There's something there. And she was like, what's going on?
I'm good.
And then got tested with my grandmother. And then that's when they found out that she was pregnant with me. So I'm like, I empathize with your boy, man.
Yeah. He's got a narrative.
Yeah,
I'm going to send him your way. Yeah. Now, so 2, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's been tough. I think for me, I struggle with sleep, also a public thing.
Yeah.
So our first one, obviously, he's a kid, sleep is erratic, but he kind of got into it. Sure. Number 2 does not sleep.
Sheesh, bro.
Like it took him 2 full years. He's 2.5 now. It took him two
Oof.
full years to learn how to sleep. So it's
Oh, bro. Oh, bro. How was the sleep training?
we tried. I don't know
Okay.
about those things. Theoretically, they make sense.
Yeah.
But like, how many kids are there out there?
Yeah.
And did they do those experiments on all those kids?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I think the theories make sense in as much as any like people-based theory makes sense. But when you're alone with your kid at night and all the things in the textbook are not happening, you know? So we tried it, but it didn't, it didn't work. And he had a lot of issues, reflux.
Okay, sure.
They have these things called developmental leaps. I learned about this from my wife. So all those stuff, whenever there's a sleep issue, you're like, okay, which one is it now?
Yes.
And
troubleshooting,
and it's been 2 years.
Whew, crazy, bro.
Yeah.
But bro, you I mean, your profession is hectic, man. Last time I checked, I don't know, and this was a couple of years ago, but you spoke earlier about varsity. In varsity, you were a DJ.
We tried.
You were doing it.
We tried.
Bro, I don't know how you studied medicine, DJ'd, and then you were building a company, a business as well.
Yeah, so the company came after.
After
varsity,
you were done.
Yeah. Because you need capital, miss. Sure, bro. No money.
Bro, how did you do that? Because it seems like at least your lifestyle hasn't slowed down. Why that, man? Like,
why DJing?
Why pack your schedule? Let's just start there.
Why make it crazy? Man, I guess the thing about idle mind and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that, but I think for me, so what I do and medicine has never really been like my thing.
Okay.
So I have this story that I always tell. When I was in grade 11, my dad asked me, "Hey, Chief, what are you gonna do with your life?"
Yeah.
I said I want to have a talk show. I'm gonna study journalism. Like I was set.
Yeah.
So he's like, cool, but what are you gonna talk about?
Yeah.
I'd never an answer. So he's like, okay, fine, go study medicine, and then
Sure.
So then that's how that whole thing started. So it was never really like my passion. Like even the guys I work with.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy what I do to an extent, but like the guys that I work with, I'm like, you're a doctor, like you've got it.
Yeah. You were born for this thing.
Yeah, like I'm working here and I'm trying, but like you are real, So there was always a bit of distance between like me and what I do.
Yeah. Sure.
And I think like for me, I think the creative outlet for anyone is like it's an important part of being a human, even if it's not for show or for performance or whatever. But we've all got that part of us, and I think it's like God given. As He created the world, we also have that like desire to create and express.
Yeah.
So I think for us back then, music was a big outlet. And we had this thing at the end of, so we did our rotations in what they call blocks. So you do like pediatrics for 3 months, then it finishes, whatever. So at the end of the block, people would just like sit on the weekend because people didn't know how to have fun. So like you study and then when there's no books, you're like,
Yeah.
So like, let's start something and call it end of block.
Sure.
And then throw little parties and, So then with DJ, then we realized, hey, there's something happening here. So then it became a thing, end of block. So that's where the company came from, EOBs for end of block, EOB events. And so it was all just for outlets at the beginning, Then we're like, hey, maybe we can make money in the business,
Well, how would you say, I mean, you touched on it now, the importance of having an outlet. So for you as a dad, husband, doctor, why would it be important? Because I'm thinking of a guy who's watching this and they're like, man, I'm already feeling like I don't know my left from my right, My life is packed with just other responsibilities before my core responsibilities, and those are family and marital responsibilities. How do I fit in DJing?
The outlet.
Yeah. So how is it important? Why is it important to have that? But also, in your experience, how have you managed to
put them together?
Put that together, yeah.
I'll answer the second one first. So in school, so I had the privilege of going to a school that offered a lot of stuff, extracurriculars and stuff.
Sure.
So I think from young, I kind of really got used to like, there's always something happening and you just have to find a way to balance it,
Yeah.
The second one, so the human mind, I think, is like a pressure cooker or a pot with boiling water. When you're busy and when you're working, it's going to boil and it's going to spill. whether you want it or not, or whether you're in control or not.
Sheesh.
So it's like if you're cooking rice and you leave it on the stove, if you don't open the thing, it's going to spoil anyways. So you may as well open it and plan so you don't have water all over the stove, you know?
That's dope.
So you have to, obviously, so the how to do it is where the trick is. But the phenomenon is going to happen. You're going to boil over. So you need the outlet. And I think for me, that was always the important thing, that whatever season of life is happening, whether it's school and was DJing, now in the season it's gym, and you know I'm trying to do some other stuff, content and whatever. At the point where the thing begins to boil over, if you don't actively find something to fill the space, something is going to find you. And I think for me, that's the big fear. I'm young, I'm male, you know. I know what it's like to have, you know, temptation, and not necessarily to do like bad things. But when your mind is idle, you know, things will happen. So yeah, for me, I think it's been that, to take control before it takes control of me type of thing. And then the time is actually there. If you think about it, I think the thing is so there's a time I read something. If you do an audit of your day, just take a second and look back and literally audit all the hours of the day. There's quite a lot of time spent just doing nothing. 5 minutes on the phone, 10 minutes on the toilet, whatever. And if you kind of like put that time in a package and then slot it in somewhere, so take all those 5 minutes and create a space, then you can do an outletty thing and allow yourself to, you know, and it does decompress and it helps, man. So if it's waking up a little bit earlier and to do that instead of scrolling gram at 9, then you sleep at 8. It's possible, you know. Put your kids to bed at 7, check that everything's fine, kiss your wife goodnight, sleep. Wake up earlier, then you've got the space. So you have to, as a male, as a man, as a human, particularly in this age that we're living in, you know, the digital age, we're so full. I mean, guys 100 years ago, their minds weren't as saturated as ours are. So you have to let it go, otherwise, you know. So yeah, that's why it's important for me.
Bro, you've been, now as you're talking, I was just reminded, but you've been very concerned about men's health. There was a period where you were we're still doing a lot of content now, but there was a period where you had asked a couple of us, right? And you asked us questions to send in videos about when we get checked, if we ever do
if
go
you get
to
checked.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about busy life, stress, fatigue. How, in your experience, in your field, how many Black guys do you find that, you know, by the time they get to you, yes, they might have other issues, but part of those issues are stress and fatigue, you know, and the fact that they just did not open the lid on time, and the stuff was just boiling because, you know, we live in Joburg hustle culture. I need to make a living for my wife, for my kids. There's probably 10 other people I'm looking after in the village. You know what I mean?
Yeah, waiting for that check. Yeah,
bro. Right? So by the time they get to you, they've spilled over. How much? Yeah. How regular is that? How regular do you meet guys who have other issues, but then when you kind of look at them, stress and fatigue are also a thing that contributed to where they are?
So in my social space, maybe I'll not comment there.
Yeah.
But in the medical space, so if you look at they have this thing called the burden of disease in all countries. And they look at categories, you know, is it lifestyle things? Is it, you know? So in South Africa, I often talk about this. We've got 4. 2 of them I'll talk about: trauma and lifestyle diseases. The majority of trauma patients that present or go to hospital in this country are Black males. One of the highest contributing factors to trauma is substance abuse. So I'll give an example. During COVID, I was on call in surgery. So surgery work with trauma. In the height of COVID, where drinking was banned, I remember going on call. So it was when I was working part-time. So I went to the hospital at 4. Between 4 p.m. and 3 a.m., I got no calls. I slept for the whole night. The day that they opened alcohol, that day I was on call. Suddenly there was a surge in trauma cases.
No way, bro.
So if you work it all the way back, the substance abuse culture or phenomenon is a response to trauma and stress, and fatigue even. Not having an outlet, so you need to let go somehow. And especially when you feel boxed in and time is tight, let me just slip in a quick substance here, pass out. Things will be better in the morning type
Sure,
of thing.
bro.
So I can't, it would be difficult to put a number to it.
Yeah.
The number would actually be in the opposite, as in how many guys are not burdened by that or plagued by that. It's everyone.
Sure.
In this culture, in this time we're living in. So like I mentioned, the stresses are, so there's a couple of factors. I think we live in an age where the stresses are probably the highest. So you're 35-year-old male, you've got all the stresses of the previous generation plus the new ones. All of this, lavish culture, the Instagram culture.
Bro.
You go online and you see a guy you're in high school with now driving this car and
Man, speak
traveling.
about that, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo.
So there's all of that lurking there.
Yeah.
Then the work pressures, there's this threat that robots will take over your job. So there's a lot of things, so there's that. Then you add the phenomenon of being, and I'm going to use this example, being a black male in South Africa, which is its own thing, comes with its own issues. We're not typically, as black males, a health-seeking population.
Sure.
In addition to that, health-seeking behavior for mental health is low across the board. Then you add being a black male to that. So that behavior is like, we just not those guys, you know? So add all of those things and then sit by yourself as a black male and you're like, so what happens to you, And that's where I think the prevalence comes. So it's high. It's like astronomically high. And even the cases so it's so high that the extremes is what we see. Guys that drink, maybe get too drunk, get in an accident, whatever. The ones that seem like it's nothing. So the guy that drinks by himself at home, I know he's cool. At least he's doing safe things. Is also there and is also part of the statistic. So it goes across the board. It's it's a real pandemic.
Sure.
I think that's the real pandemic for me now.
Yeah.
Mental health, particularly in the black male community.
Yeah, sure. What do you do in your own life to kind of curb that, bro?
Sure. I wish I was the poster child to say, no, I've done this. So I think everyone, particularly people in that cohort, you need to be seeing someone.
Sure.
It's like when we're talking that time when we were doing that content, it's not a matter of having a cold, then you go to the GP, or it's more like going to the gym. So, you don't gym because, okay, now I feel unfit, let me go get fit. You gym because you want to get fitter.
Sure.
So the health-seeking behavior needs to be proactive, prospective. So we need to be seeing people, one. Two, I mentioned that the whole tech age is a threat to mental health, but also it can contribute. So there's information out there. So I think we need to actively be seeking and understanding what the conversations are. What does it mean to be depressed? How does it manifest? And at least have our own understanding. I mean, people have started businesses from learning off YouTube. So you can learn about your mental health online and just understand the terms, get familiar with it, and then actively seek out. And I think the other thing is lack of isolation. I think male culture, we like to do stuff by ourselves.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm only going to emerge when I figured this thing out.
When I figured it out.
Yeah.
Or emerge when it's bad.
Yeah, when we have to pull you out and that's
the
emerging.
You know what I'm saying? So I think also just the humility to say, you know what, I'm human first. Let me step out. And before things get bad, just engage, amongst guys and say, hey, dude, I'm actually struggling. What does that feel like for you?
You were telling me you still have a lot of side hustles now.
Trying.
So maybe as a husband, why do you have side hustle?
One money.
Yes.
One money. No, man, I think it's
only money.
It's only money. Hey, that's another chat. That's another one. No, so I think it's twofold. One's financial, one I think is like to do with the person and fulfillment and stuff. I mean, these finance gurus will tell you one income is whatever and you must invest. And so there's that, and that'll always be there. But I think for me, the big thing is I think we're so multifaceted as people. And what you find yourself doing at a time is just a function of time. It's temporal,
Sure.
Life is linear, so you'll have checkpoints, and in a certain checkpoint, you'll be doing content, for instance, or you'll be practicing something. But there's so many facets of you that aren't being expressed at the time. So for me, if you've got the means, the resources, time, then you should explore. It's like what I was saying earlier. Those expressions, you may find that for part of you to be, or when a part of you is being expressed, it may be at the expense of something else.
Sure.
And that part that's being suppressed may also be hiding or keeping with it a health expression. So you might find that when you're being creative, there's a certain part of your brain that prevents you from feeling down, for example, where if you allow that thing to manifest and you know, even if it's not yielding much, but you're doing it, it can sort of unearth a health thing or a health behavior or even something psychologically. So for me, that's been the thing behind it. The one side hustle is a content creation thing, you know, it's health stuff.
You're killing it, though.
Trying.
Dog.
Trying, man.
You know, I find myself watching your videos and I'm like, yo, I want to go to medical school.
And let me...
That stuff is dope, bro.
Yeah.
And then I forget you actually trying to help me.
I'm trying to help you
stuff.
with your thing.
Because I'm a creative. I'm like, your stuff is dope.
No, man. So I think the real thing with that for me is access.
Sure.
So people don't have access to information, and information you can do something with. So, for example, people go to a practitioner, specialist or whatever, and they go with a problem. Hey, I've got this lump, whatever. The specialist needs to do the specialist work. See the lump, treat it, you leave. Whereas, like, they call it, what do they call it? Door handle questions. When they get to the door, they're like, ish, but I've also got this itch and I've also got this. But a lot of the dynamics, so whether it's time or social dynamics, maybe the practitioner's an old white man, I'm a young black female, can't really engage at that level. So we've got an access issue in the country. So for me, a big thing was like the platforms are there. People are on, so I'm on TikTok. I find TikTok fascinating. It's so like...
It's next level, that thing.
It's multi. I don't know what word to put, but it's multi. There's just so much happening. So for me, I'm like, everyone is on this thing and you don't have to like have something to offer to be on it. You're just there. So there's a lot of people there. And what I've seen from the page is that people have questions, right? Like they just want to know, hey, I have this lump or I've got this pain, you know, that kind of thing. So for me, it's just getting information out there and creating platforms for people to ask questions, to speak. And just breaking down things, man. You know, we go to school for a reason. So if it's, you know, you spend time there learning the concepts. It's been in my mind for a long time. So I've got the opportunity to break it down. And because we engage with people, so like put it in a way or in a chunk that people can really digest.
Bro, that's dope, man. And I appreciate that about you, just your heart that comes across with the content, you know, because again, man, you could say, got into medicine, just wanted to make dough, live my life, whatever, right? But the fact that you want to serve, you know, it's just, man, that thing is so incredible. And I think, I think if more people work from that vantage, I think it would make this country a better place. You know, like it's dope to get paid in the process.
I mean, that's what we're looking for. You know what I'm saying?
It should, especially as somebody with responsibilities.
You know
right?
what I'm saying?
It's dope, but I mean, like the best creations come from, man. How can I sacrifice myself? You know. With what I know to make the next person better, to give them value, to give them just a fighting chance in their lives, man. So and that comes across very loudly and clear from your stuff, man. So
appreciate it.
Truly appreciate that, bro. You said, I'm segueing here. You said, you know, if you don't create, some things are left. You used a different word, but dormant, and they're not going to be expressed, or you're compromising something. Part of managing our side hustles in our lives, one person that gets compromised a lot is the one you pulled out of her father's house and said, I'm gonna make you my queen. Yes. You're gonna experience the world in a very different way. And she was like, I bought in, right?
I'm in.
And then,
meanwhile,
7 years later, she's like, Captain,
look at this guy.
Is this it?
Is this what I signed up for?
Bro, I put out a clip not long ago where I speak about how I recovered from an epic failure that nearly ruined my marriage.
Okay.
And that epic failure was getting to a point where I was working so hard because I was trying to get my wife and family, you know, to a better financial position. But then I didn't realize in the process that I was sacrificing them at the altar of the work, you know? And then I realized, man, the very people I'm working for, by the time we get to this promised land, they're going to be half dead.
Sure.
Right. And then I'll be like, look at this promised land, you
Look
know,
what I've done.
and they just like, okay.
We're done with you, Chief.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Or they're like crawling into the promised land,
Mm.
and then I'm there enjoying it on my own. And I'm dragging them in because I've been doing that the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was just like, man, I feel like such a punk. I feel like such a hypocrite that I did that, you know? And it was such a hard thing for me to come to terms with, you know? And I didn't even put out that clip, or I didn't even tell my wife before I put out that clip.
Okay.
I had it in my phone.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was like, man, this is hard to just come to face with it.
Yeah.
But I know there's a bunch of other husbands who are here. I know there's a bunch of other dudes who probably don't even see what I've been privileged to see from my own experience.
Yes.
So it's at that point, so I was like, all right, cool, let this thing loose. Right? Yeah. let's see where it lands. Right? How does that look like for you, man? Yeah.
It's real, man. It's a real thing you bring up. So for me, there's the chosen ones and the unchosen ones.
Sure.
So work is the unchosen one in a sense. So you have to do it. I mentioned I'm specializing at the moment. So, I mean, you're in the program, you have to finish.
Yeah.
What the program consists of, so you're working full-time, you're studying full-time. So obviously the time constraints are like, they're real.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then obviously there's the chosen ones, which now there's that like, that's the tough part. That's the balance. So it's like I do this thing to bring some sort of balance to my life, but it takes away from something I should be giving my first fruits to as a husband and a father. So I don't have the answer to that, to be honest. Yeah. It's but I think what where the penny dropped, I think, or where there has been like the promise of change is the conversation. So I think there was a pride at the beginning, there was a pride to it, like you mentioned, I'm hustling. And you need to respect my hustle. I'm doing it for you. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I think I enjoyed the pride of that. And almost to the extent that as a Christian, you kind of put the gospel onto that. As in, it's my responsibility as
you
a
baptize
man.
It.
You know what I'm saying? I'm loving you as Christ did the church and putting you first. But I wasn't. Yeah. I really wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think when you see the money rolling in, and I was young making that kind of money, I was like, I'm doing it. Like, I'm doing the right thing.
There's evidence.
Yeah. And the time trade-off, you're just going to have to deal with, because that's who got you this house. It's this hustle. So just, you know. Whereas I think so obviously there was that. And then we had an issue. Well, I think issues boiled over. And then we started having the conversation. Like, listen, bro, where's your heart, actually? I see what you're doing and I appreciate it, but where's your heart? And I think also for me to look and say, maybe it's easier to be out in the field hustling, telling myself what I'm doing for the relationship, as opposed to being in the relationship and doing it. And figuring out, you know, where my heart is. It's easier for me. It's easier as a guy to hustle than to be a husband.
Yeah. No, hundreds, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
1,000.
And you feel the rewards in the field. Yeah. So yeah, it was a conversation. I think that changed a lot. And it's not something I look back on and I'm like, yeah, no, I did that. Now I'm in it. In it fully. I mean, with the kids, you know, my wife worked full time. She's now part time, but she's doing phenomenal. And like that time audit that I say, when I do her time audits, I'm like, your time for yourself is min. Even compared to me, actually. And I think I'm the one out here hustling. So actually, shout out to you. And if you want to have a conversation about me and my commitment and my heart, I think we need to have it.
Sure.
Because the evidence is there, you know? Yeah, man. But that's I think for any guy, I don't think that conversation ends, actually. As a married Christian man, it doesn't end. As long as you're in the field, there's always that balance. And I think the wife sees it, obviously, before you do. And you have to be able to humble yourself to have the conversation. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Bro, that's you dropped the gem there. It's easier to hustle than to be a husband. And I think a lot of dudes are deluded to not think that. Right? they brokers, or they haven't come to that realization, and that's part of what's holding them from having that conversation, you know, because it's like this the hustling might seem like it's a hard thing
Yes.
because you're putting yourself out there, you know,
Yes.
you're knocking on doors, you're setting up the meetings,
Yeah.
you fighting with competition, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. And then you think, if I just bring the bacon,
Yes.
she must understand.
She must get it.
Right?
Yes,
And it's
because she's
like,
benefiting.
man, there's more to you as a husband. Because if you're hustling, you can, you know, so for our business, I'm self-appointed CEO, self-appointed being the operative word, right?
I put myself.
It's fagile, right?
Nda.
Yeah. I have responsibilities, bro. And I can compartmentalize those responsibilities, put them on a spreadsheet, move on the computer, go home. Right? But even as when I'm working, I don't cease to be a husband.
Yes.
Right? Because home can call at any point.
Yeah.
And it's not like just in and of myself, I've divorced, you know, the thought of my family or my I'm still a husband.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And people see me as that, even at work.
Yeah.
Right? They see me as that. But it I can easily fall into the temptation of thinking, man, this is harder because obviously work is hard, but it's harder because if I, you know, bring X amount, she should be fine.
Yes.
But it's like, man, you providing more than the bacon.
Yes.
Providing security mentally, emotionally. You providing spiritual, you know, direction, the spiritual climate and the culture of your home.
Of the home,
man, the joy that fathers bring. And you have 2 boys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, how are they gonna regulate their emotions? They're gonna see it from you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you an anchor more than anything else outside there, right? Like, and you are anchoring a lot of things at home, man. And I think if a dude hasn't realized that, then I hope as you're watching this, you are coming to terms with that at least, or you're grappling with it. But I think that part of what makes us, if we have realized it, the pride thing, the fear thing of actually saying, let me press into this, man.
Yeah.
And be vulnerable with my wife.
Yes.
Take jabs.
Take the jabs.
Right? Where have I failed?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because that list is long.
Yeah. And the jabs are sore.
And they're hard, bro.
They're hard.
Yeah.
It's painful.
They're hard, bro.
Yeah.
They're hard, man. How did you survive that conversation?
No, I didn't handle it well.
Did you go to the gym and punch things?
I had to go and punch something out. No, it was hard, man. It was hard because I think...
Hey, sorry to interrupt your viewing. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. If you haven't hit the notification bell, do that so that you're always updated on the episodes that we drop. What are we about here? We're about husbands who want to know better so that they can do better. And with that in mind, here's another husband coming up next week who gives us stuff to know better so that we can all do better. All right, check it out.
Most people are not looking for someone to love them. As men, we're looking for someone to love. It is the rejection of that good intention that hurts.
Breaks you,
when
man.
Somebody says, I don't want your love. I don't want to be loved by you.
How did you survive that conversation?
No, I didn't handle it well.
Did you go to the gym and punch things?
I had to go and punch something out. No, it was hard, man. It was hard because I think, sure, you've got, or one has such an inflated view of self. And especially when you've kind of got things sorted. So I think it's better when things aren't working out.
Yeah.
Because then you see your flaws in front of you, like, valets, you know?
Sure.
But I think there's those moments where you're like, I'm doing decently at work.
Yeah.
The kids are vibing me, you know, the relationship's decent with the wife and stuff. Then in the peak of that, then she's like, no, but I haven't felt you love me this week. I'm like, but I've, you know? So I think for me, it's in those moments where like you've done everything.
Sure.
And that's the thing. It's like the hard science versus soft science, or like the tangible versus intangible. Where tangible I can be like, bro. So for instance, an example this week. So my wife went to, I think, her mom's place for during the day. The day before I had taken the kids. So she was busy with something. I'm like, no. And I'd had a busy week. Babe, let me take the kids. Took them. We went and bought stuff for the house. All the DIY stuff. The man stuff.
Yeah.
I bought a new shower head.
Was you and the boys?
Me and the boys.
Come on now.
Bought a new shower head.
You're having a Father-Son's Day.
Father-Son Day.
Yeah.
Bruh. So she had a day for herself. Fine, I come home, I do all my DIY stuff. She doesn't notice. I'm like, it's fine.
Oh, so
The
she
next
comes
day-
home, she doesn't say anything.
So I came home with the boys.
Yeah. And you did your stuff.
And I bought the boys. Bought
Yes,
them, make
yes,
food.
yes,
and in
yes,
the
yes.
meantime, I'm putting up shower heads.
Yes.
I'm daddying.
Come on now.
She doesn't see it. I'm like, fair. Next day, she goes to her mom's place.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me do some more DIY. Not for her, just like,
Yes.
as a guy.
Yes.
So we have this tree that leans over the driveway. She couldn't park because of the tree.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me attack that tree. Cut it down.
Cheers, I do.
Like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm doing it, hey?
I'm mending this
I'm
thing.
manning. She comes home, doesn't notice. Fine. The following day, we start talking about me going back to the big hospital where I used to work and the time, whatever. And I'm just getting jabs. You know, when you not around. So there's certain trigger words.
Yeah.
Not around, not present. So she's hitting me with the trigger words. And she's pouring out, man. She's, it's not a malicious thing.
Sure.
But those jabs hurt. Because I'm like, Chief, I've given you everything I have. I worked the whole week. I brought a check and I did the dad stuff and, but it just wasn't. Yeah. So that was tough.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing. It's not like a performance thing either.
Nah.
And maybe that's where my heart was. I'm like, at the end of this, I'm going to stand on stage. And it's going to be like, yo, what a man. Yeah. Nothing.
My endoda.
You know what I'm saying? It's my endoda. But that's what, that's not what it was about. It's just, she needed to be loved in a way that made sense to her, like language.
Yeah.
And I failed,
That's a big one, man.
You
You were having the the woman's I just did my hair. My husband didn't notice equivalent. Like, that's what you were having. Yeah.
And I never thought I'd be that guy. You feel so self-assured. And then now it's tough.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the wife who gets new braids, and then 3 months when she's taking them off, the husband is like, hey, something. It's 3 months.
Gone.
It's 3 months,
gone.
my dog.
It's like, it's been bad, man.
Sheesh, bro.
Yeah.
I think, man, that's because I trigger words. Is a it's a thing we recently trying to master, right? To in the spot say, that's a.
I don't like that.
That's so true. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're not questioning your motive.
Yeah.
But yes, see that thing.
The language. Hot.
That thing cuts.
Cuts, yeah.
And so we learning that, man. And it's such a, I think it's such a beautiful thing because it clears the air.
Yes.
Because then you have a tough moment, and then words are exchanged, and then 2 months later you're fighting about the words that were exchanged.
Yeah.
And so it's like after this tough moment, there's a fight lingering.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't say that.
You can't talk to me like that. Bro.
I'll teach you.
Take me seriously.
Yeah. I'm not a clown. I might seem like a clown right now, but don't say I'm a clown.
Don't tell me. I feel you. No, it's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
That's dope, man. What hopes do you have for your boys growing up as a South African, figuring
brown
life
kids?
out? Yeah.
No, man, followers of Jesus first.
Dope.
Lovers of Jesus first.
Dope.
And even that one's a tricky one, man.
Yeah.
The world we're living in now, it's hot, but that's the main thing.
Yeah.
I think the second one is identity. And in the right order. So I am this because of Christ first. Then there's other real things that they also need to understand.
Sure.
My dad is an African man from this background. Father's my dad is this, my mom is this. And really wrestling with it. So I don't think they'll ever sit in it because my situation is, mixed. So there'll never be an answer. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to run away from the wrestle.
Yeah.
They need to sit with it and be like, okay, this is South Africa's history. This is where we were. What is it? 20 years before my parents got married.
Yeah.
They decided to do stunts and get married. And now we're here.
Bring these two worlds together.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then so that struggle, I really want them to be able to wrestle with that.
Yeah.
And then freedom, man. The freedom that comes in Christ, real, it has a lot to do with identity, man. But just I don't have to prove or be anything. I don't have to perform for love. I'm loved.
Sure.
Baseline. I'm accepted. Baseline.
Sure.
And I think a big thing as men is that we're chasing this thing a feeling, a tick, an achievement. And in the end, it's like, this thing is so brief.
Yeah.
Like, just do your hustle here.
Yeah.
Life is out there, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to die and things are going to be.
Sure.
So I think the freedom of that to kind of really settle in the fact that we're here, there's a reason God put us here. Do it fully and be true to it. But be free, man.
Sure.
Like, you're going to be in paradise one day. But also for their walk on this earth to also be free. Obviously, I can't protect them from everything. But there's things that I think I've wrestled with that I don't want them to wrestle with. I think the job of the previous generation is to at least just make one step for the next one. So I think my dad did a lot for me not to wrestle with a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Let me also do that and give them some sort of freedom. Man, to do what they want. Our generation, they were like, hey, you have to be a this or a this or a this. And then you come out and you're like, I want to do X. And then like, no.
Yeah.
So man, just the freedom to not even have to feel like they need to be something.
Yeah.
But just like have something they love or be involved in something they love and have the confidence to like ride with that. And God willing, if I can give them the financial means to be able to do that, because you need the two, I hope for that too.
Yeah. That's dope, bro. Now that you were speaking about the previous generation, I was wondering how many of us are actually the males in our generation tired because there's dreams of the previous generations that were thrown on us that we sitting this side, some of us mildly depressed, some of us fully depressed.
Mild is the operative word there. I feel you.
Because I was playing a song for my kid yesterday. I Know I Can by Nas.
Beautiful song.
Amazing.
Beautiful song.
But lies.
Yeah. What do you say? An actress, a doctor, an architect.
Yeah, maybe you can be Oprah. Yeah, you can be Oprah.
Wait a minute.
Like Nas. Felicia Mabuza tried it.
She tried it, yeah.
So after her, like, come on, Nas.
Come on, dude.
So I get the sentiment.
Yes.
But that thing was, and that's why I asked you about your boys as well. Because that thing was drilled in us. And understandably so, because our parents were denied opportunities.
Yeah.
So now when you have freedoms,
yes,
that's the narrative you're gonna push.
Yes.
Go get it all. Right?
Yeah.
And it was like, maybe we can't get it all. Right?
Yes.
Maybe you should have just said, hey, listen, this life is like this.
Yes.
When you have many options, you can't have
everything.
Right? Because now we went in as the generation of dreamers who will achieve anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, maybe you can dream it, but not everything is gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
And that crushes us. Right? I've seen a lot of people our generation who are crushed by unfulfilled or unmet dreams.
Yeah.
And what would you say to dudes who are trying stuff and stuff is not coming together?
Yeah. Sure.
Partly because we come from a generation again who's we've been fed. You can go do it. And they've been doing it. And stuff is not coming together. But coupled with that, they not only just facing the failure of their dreams not coming true, but there's hungry mouths.
Yeah.
And open hands of wives and children saying, I think you need to quit this thing now. Like, you've been trying. Right?
We need
we need to eat.
We need to eat.
Like, what would you say to a dude like that, man?
That's a tricky one, man.
Sure.
That's a tricky one. I think I've had the privilege of never not being able to provide in the absolute sense.
Sure.
So during COVID, I didn't have full-time work. So things were tight, very tight. But like the baseline things were still there. Like we could still eat. We could still commute if we needed to. Sometimes there wasn't electricity, but most times there was. So I think it would be difficult for me to give an honest narrative on that because I think it would be insensitive to an extent.
Sure.
On the flip side, though, so for a dream to be fulfilled, I think we also need to ask ourselves, what's the metric that we're using? Maybe that's something I struggled with a lot. Still wrestling, but kind of beginning to figure it out. there'll always be, not always, but often there's a way to get the buck, if that makes sense, a legal way. It's often that must be put. We need to put that out there.
That.
Has to be legal. It's often not cute. It's often really difficult.
Yeah.
And it may be across the board. It may be from a very glamorous, high-paying thing to something not so glamorous.
Sure.
But there's often, if you look hard enough, if you humble yourself enough, you can often find something just to like cover, you know? And it would also be irresponsible to say that's always the case, because I know it isn't. We struggle with unemployment. But a lot of the time you can. That, I think, doesn't exclude having a dream and working towards a dream. But the fulfillment of that, I don't think is an absolute. So, I mean, I look at guys that I look up to in fields that I'm interested in or that I respect, and they never really stop, you know. And this is even in a secular world, and, you know, where the what influences the thinking and the what's the word?
Ambition.
Yeah, I mean, it's not guys that are influenced by love of the Lord or the gospel.
Yeah, sure.
So even in that world, there's never a cap.
Yeah.
Which means you never really reach a point and you're like, yo, now I've made it now. I'm living my dream. I'm good. There's always, you know. So I think when you bring it down scale to any dreamer, your metric is different. You can be living your dream if you're doing something to fulfill the dream. I remember a time when I was still in the program I'm doing, but where like the creative juices were flat. I'd even forgotten like key. So for instance, a singer, it's like a singer forgetting how to hit a note.
Sheesh,
or like
bro.
A basketball player forgetting how to shoot type of thing. So I'd almost, I feel like I'd completely forgotten like.
The difference there is that when Michael can't shoot, no one dies. Where nah?
True. I feel you.
If Whitney couldn't hit a thing, that's a bad show. But Beyonce was flat today, guys.
She'll come back. She'll come back. People die. No, but I mean like in the creative sense.
Yeah, sure.
I just forgot how to do what I thought is me type of thing for a long time. And at that point, so I'll put it out there on air. At that point, I was desperate to get out of the program, actually. I'm done with medicine. I'm done with doing what people say I must do. I was forced into this thing. I want to be a creative. And at that point, I wanted the metric to be like, you find a gig and that gig opens up other gigs. And then you're on SABC.
Yeah.
Then SABC, you blow up, then you're on Netflix. Yeah. That was, you know, obviously it's not going to happen like that. But the humbling part, and I think with like my head got knocked on, is that what I need to do to fulfill the dream at the time is just to get back into the engine room, get back into the gym.
Sure.
So if I forgot how to create, relearn how to create, watch creatives, sit by myself in front of the mirror and do my creative thing. And like really tap into the art. That's also realizing the dream. If the time should come, and it may not come, this is God's will, not ours. If the time should come, then if the if is ticked, when the time comes, then I must be ready to tap into the dream.
Sure.
And that's also living out the passion. You know, you'll speak to a lot of creatives or people who have made it successfully. I watch a lot of athletes. There was something I read about Steph Curry, basketball player.
Yep.
Between the time he started playing ball and now, he's shot something like 50,000 three-pointers in practice, whatever. He's now the leading three-point shooter in history.
Yep.
And the number there is, I think, 3,200 or something.
Yep.
So 50,000 compared to 3,000. So how much work did he put in?
To get to the three.
You know what I'm saying? To reach that dream. But if he was mad and like, I want to be the best three-point shooter, but he's not in the gym, you know?
Sure.
So I think, especially in this age, man, there's a lot of stuff out there and you see someone, you're like, oh, they're doing it, why can't I do it? Reaching the dream primarily is being in the gym.
100%.
Working on the art, whatever the art may be, you know, and tapping into that. When the time comes, if it's God's will that it comes, you'll be ready. If it doesn't come, then you're still living the dream in the hustle. That's kind of part of it. And I think if guys really believe in a dream and love it that much, then the engine room is where you actually love it. Being in studio, struggling with mics, hey, that camera angle's not good. That's part of the, you know, that's it. If you're an entrepreneur, being in the street, hey, 5 rand, that's the love. It's not driving the Maserati and having a big building with your name. It's being on the ground. That's actually, you know.
Sure.
Sure.
That's dope, bro. Man, that's fire, bro. I didn't know that you're creative that much.
It says I'm a black.
Nah. Like, as long as I've known you, I was like, doc is doc, man.
It's by the book.
Guy, you know. And the thing is, because I think that's the thing about you, that you give yourself to stuff that you do. So you never show up like half-hearted.
I feel you.
So
Appreciate that.
So it's the first time that I've heard you say I was forced into this thing. Because
seriously,
hundreds, bro.
Hectic.
Like I've never, when I think of guys who are supposed to be what they are, when you look at your doctor friends and you're like, yeah,
that's the guy. Yeah.
I'm like, God, this Khuliso doc. Khuliso supposed to be a doctor. I don't know. So now when you're like, man, there's a creative thing about you. Obviously, I can see it in the stuff that you create.
Yeah.
And having done music but I'm like, well, I didn't know it was that big.
That's
like
the,
that's the
No, that's me, man. That's me. That's really me. I think the other part, and I really appreciate it as a gift because it's given me the ability to provide.
Sure.
In this modern time, and it happens to be something that's valued.
Yeah.
And on a bigger scale, take it away from the personal thing. There's the need out there, bro. We live in South Africa, burden of disease, little resources. So it's really, and I wanna make this clear, it's really a blessing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And to have the space to specialize and do it at a high level. It's really beautiful. I think the beauty now is God saying, okay, Sharp, I've given you this. There's this like creative energy. Merge them, marry them, and kind of like speak to yourself, but also speak to the calling. And so I think that's the work now I'm trying to like wrestle through.
Stop. How's your wife finding all of that?
Woo! There's my version and there's her version. I'll say, hey man, she's like, my man is at a good level. I don't know. No, I think sure. I think we in the right space to do the work.
Yeah.
So, like I've said, I think it's, hey, you caught me at an awkward time. You see, we should have had this conversation in 5 years. And I feel like, mate,
we good.
Killing it. No, so I think for a long time in our marriage, because there's so much happening. So you deal with stuff at levels. This is a deeper level thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's only now where we in the space where it's like, bro, no.
Sure.
Too much time on that, pull back.
Sure.
Or even with like work, like my, chief, you don't need to be that guy. That's an ego thing. It's not a necessary thing. Pull back. Or here, the kids missed you for a week. The boys are acting up. They need you around.
Yeah.
And also me also having the thing we talk about males, it's hard to ask and stuff.
Yeah.
So also, I think I'm in a place now where I'm comfortable to say, shucks, okay, I'm struggling a bit with this, babe. Can you take on this? So we're in the field to get to the point where if we speak in a year, I'll tell you how she feels. For now, but it's progress, and it's just God's grace that He's kept us together. Yep. Because this is a threat also. I mean, I know a lot of people who are specializing, who their marriages fall apart. Yeah. It's just too much. And it's been a grace thing. I don't think I'm good at what I do, but I've been allowed ways to do what I do in a way that doesn't absolutely exclude my family. Yeah. And that's just been a gift.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, you're what I'm about to say might seem like I know a lot of doctors, but you're the first doctor I've known. And maybe I didn't talk to the other guys, but this, but you were like, man, I can see how this thing can swallow me, and I want to prioritize my family, and it was like early the first year, I think, of community service,
internship and stuff.
Yeah. And then I was like, at first I was like, man, like that's such a refreshing way to think. Especially at this early stage in your career, such a refreshing way to think. And then I was like, I mean, he's probably just saying it in J talk, like like
that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, not even that you don't know. I'm like, I mean, like until we get to an age where we're older, and life has trapped us a bit, then we could be like, I want to do this and I mean it. Because I have evidence, I've lived experience. Yeah. Now we might just be very idealistic. Because that's the right thing to do and say.
Yeah.
But I'm like, over the years, man, I've just seen the fact that you even have a second baby. I'm like, hey, it's clearly you prioritizing certain things that are important.
Those build the nation. Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
And man, that's my heart for this podcast, that we get guys who not just gonna say the right things, but be about the right things, as hard as it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying you're a hero, and you said it yourself, So I'm like, your wife could sit on that chair and be like, nah, you see that statement? Yeah, it's probably like 70% right. But
Yeah.
those,
Me.
yeah, you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there's, and that's fair.
Yeah.
I've finished recording an episode. My wife watches the thing and she's like, nah, dog. Nah, that wasn't.
that ain't for
yeah,
real.
no, what you said there. I get what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
But like in action between you and I,
That ain't it.
that thing is landing 60% and not,
Hectic.
you presented it as 80%. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I was just talking. The mics were here.
I was in the
I
moment.
was in the moment. So it's like, no, you hit it. But it was 60% right.
Yeah.
It wasn't 80% or 90%, right? Which is fair. Because again, I'm not married alone. You're not married alone, right? But from where I'm sitting, I'm like, man, you said that thing and you took it seriously. And at least you're failing forward and you're trying to adjust your life and manage things so that at least the most important part of your life, which is your marriage and your family, is taken care of, And for me, I'm like, man, I want to just encourage guys to do that, husbands to do that, and show guys who are not married that, listen, it might seem hot, but it's hot for a reason.
Yeah.
All right, this thing is valuable.
Yeah.
We love our wives.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be the men that we are becoming if it wasn't for our wives.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I've said it 1,000 times here, I'd be a Popeye, totally. It's like clean.
Proper.
Failure without my wife, bro, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, the guy I'm becoming, it's kudos to her and how God is using her in my life, So shout outs to you, bro.
Appreciate
From
it.
where we're standing, man, shout outs to you, bro. And keep shining, keep raising the flag, especially in the space that you're in. There's a lot of dudes who watch this who are not married and probably yet still in school, and they're like, yeah, I want
the money.
I want the money.
Good luck, gents. You will work. You will work.
So I mean, it's dope just to be like, man, prioritize what's important. And we're not saying that don't do your job. But just let your things be straight, man. You know, at the end of the day, I've been seeing a lot of these videos, and now I'm talking a lot. But a lot of these, marriages that started in the 80s, 70s, whatever, and those people, by God's grace, are still alive. I've seen a couple of those TikTok videos where the couple is there, 1980.
Yeah, I've seen
and then the kid was born in 85.
Yeah.
And then the grandkids, bro,
Yeah.
And then it's like 4 generations together started with this one couple, And then I'm like, man, like, I want to get there.
It's possible.
That's the price.
That's the price.
That's the thing, dog, So I don't want to... You can be celebrated, Amazing doctor, you did things, breakthroughs, blah, 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 who knows? I don't know, maybe you'll invent something, dog, at the rate you go. But then it would suck if you are celebrated as the greatest doctor to do ABC, and your boys are like, well, yeah, he was great to the world.
Yeah, you don't know that guy.
Yeah. He healed everybody except us.
Bruh.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's gonna hurt, bro. That's gonna be rough. And so I'm like, man, let's fail forward, bro.
Yeah.
Fail forward and show up as hard as we can for those we love.
Yeah.
In closing, man, in light of just your passion, caring for men and their health, like just important things for us to note. The thing we did when you were asking about checkups, I've never forgotten this. I don't know if you said it or I started thinking about it then, but like, getting my prostate checked, bro.
I loved your version of the video.
Yo.
The way you phrased it changed my life. I won't say it on don't know what I'm allowed to say here, but
you can say anything.
That was beautiful. It was the way you phrased it. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
I've like that thing. Even now, a friend of mine was like, "Yeah, I went and I got checked."
Yeah.
But now I need you to confirm this because he said he got checked with blood tests.
Okay.
They didn't poke.
They didn't poke. It's not what you said last time.
I'm matured now. I'm grown.
You're grown. Feel you? I respect that.
So I was like, blood tests. If that's true, I'm like, many more guys should go.
There's no,
So is it true?
It's true and not true.
Okay.
This is part of what I like why I like the page so much, like the
Yes.
passion, you know.
Yeah.
So the reason why guys don't want to go is because they don't want the physical check.
Yeah.
But you have to correlate things
Okay.
in medicine. So there's different ways of picking something up. We kind of divide it. So there's clinically, which is what you examine.
Sure.
Then there's certain tests you can do, biochemistry, imaging. Then always the gold standard is what they call a biopsy. So you take a piece of something. So the clinical one is the check with the finger. So I'm going to use anatomical terms, is, you know. So your prostate sits between your bladder and your rectum.
Yeah.
The only way to feel it properly is to go through the bum
Yeah.
and feel there.
Yeah.
So if it's enlarged or if it's like abnormal, you can actually feel it and get an impression.
I could hear people unsubscribing, bro.
If people are uncomfortable, that's how it is,
I'm joking.
gents. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So you have to feel it. That first gives you a suspicion that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Then there's a blood test called a PSA, which basically your prostate, like any organ, secretes hormones. But those hormones aren't specific to a cancer. So whenever your prostate has been, something's happened to it, so whether it's inflamed, whether it's been fiddled with, whether there's a cancer, there's a growth, your PSA will be up. So if it's up, that's the blood test.
Okay.
It may suggest that something is changing, but it doesn't say it's cancer. So if you correlate a high PSA with the feeling of a cancer, that's more specific.
Sure.
Then you can do proper tests, a biopsy, whatever.
Okay.
So the blood test, I would say, like, if you don't have symptoms, like you're peeing normally and stuff, but maybe you think you're at risk, maybe a family member's had, then do the blood test. If it's high, they do more tests.
Sure.
But if you've got symptoms, chief, someone needs to check. Is what it is.
You're getting the finger.
You're getting the finger.
Yeah.
How it is.
Jeez, bro. So my wife is a glorified drug dealer, right?
Okay.
Like if anyone is sick in our house,
Yeah.
she knows what's what.
She's ready.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If God forbid anything happens to my wife, like my daughter's done, bro.
You're done.
Yeah. It's Panado, grandpa.
That's it.
Drink water. That's me.
You're
Right?
fine,
Yeah. And if I feel like we're taking it a step higher, makheucho.
But that's number one. We know. We know.
That's me, bro. Like,
That's the one.
it cures it.
Cures everything. Cures everything. I've got this on good evidence.
Yeah.
Cures everything.
But she's kind of spoken to me about like supplements, whatever, and I'm just like, yo, man, slowly getting introduced into that stuff. I was chatting to you, and we had chats about that.
Yeah.
But I was telling you about Solel and the range that they have. There's one called Super Mega B.
Okay.
B vitamin or vitamin B, right? And I was like, man, you went to school for this stuff. You'll explain what B vitamin does.
What it is, yeah.
Right? But I mean, at least for my reading, it has something to do with stress and fatigue, at least. And then I thought about it, and you reminded me now, as a black male, I'm like, man, I'll survive. I
It'll be fine.
I don't need, to take no vitamins for nothing, right?
Yeah.
My wife, on the other hand, man, like she's like, speaking about circadian rhythms and
Hot
vitamin
things.
D and,
Yeah,
has to
yeah.
get stuff from the sun. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm super cringe,
Oh,
right? But anyway, I'm like, man, I'm trying to change because again, there is a lot that's happening in my life as well, so having to balance everything and just trying to take care of myself a bit better. What is vitamin B, bro? What is B vitamin? I don't.
Yeah. So that's a little bit. I don't know if I caught it. No, so your body runs on macronutrients, micronutrients.
Yeah.
So macros is protein, carbs, the building blocks. Then micros is almost like, trying to think of it maybe like a car. It's the small stuff. So maybe your macros is like your fuel, unleaded, whatever.
Sure.
The micros is like all the stuff that you tweak in between, your oil changes, So it's your body needs those stuff.
Okay.
And some your body can make by itself.
Okay.
So those are the non-essential ones.
Yeah.
The essential ones are the ones that your body can't make. Or in some cases, your body doesn't make enough.
Sure.
The other thing about vitamins is in the perfect conditions, perfect diet, you should get them from your diet.
Okay.
But I mean, we know ourselves, we know what we eat, Squatter Mondays, Squatter Tuesdays, and so we don't always get yeah, that's the one. So we don't always get all the stuff we should get in the concentration that we need.
Okay.
So I think if I remember correctly, B vitamins is usually for the brain health. So there's a whole lot of chemical processes, but they help form nerves and keep nerves healthy and stuff.
Yeah.
So for instance, guys who are deficient in B1, so it's mainly like B1 to 12.
Okay.
B1 is thiamine. If you're deficient, you can get something called beriberi. So your brain or part of your brain doesn't work so well. You become ataxic, can't walk, and all these kind of stuff.
Sheesh.
So you get, so your B vitamins, all your vitamins do quite a lot. Your B1's usually nerves. So if you've got a deficiency and you take the vitamins, it'll help the deficiency and prevent stuff. It can even go as far as maybe allowing you to optimize or work at optimum. So be like your best version.
Sure.
If you're already at optimum, so good diet and all that kind of stuff, you decide whether they help or not.
Sure.
But I think in the age we're living in, it's not a bad thing to take. So I mean, I take supplements as well. There's omega-3s and 6s that you get from fish. We don't always eat fish. Fish is expensive, so you can take those. Yeah, so I think if you do, and other people anecdotally will say, hey man, I never took this stuff. I started taking, now I feel great.
Yeah.
So that's a difference.
Sure.
So if you do feel a difference, I think it's worth taking. And they're not that expensive, for the gains, I think. So it's worth it,
man. Yeah, I'm trying to encourage a lot of guys, I think, to just look after themselves, because if we speak of looking after ourselves in the context of gym, there's an incentive.
No, see that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see it.
Because you're going to see it, right?
You're going to see it.
But I was just like, man, speaking about our wellness overall, something that guys are still like, we don't know how to navigate those things, And so I'm like, man, hence I wanted to just sit with you, and chat through those things and see how it's actually, just played out in your own life outside of your profession as well. How would you encourage guys, man, to just take their health more seriously?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think I don't have a neat way of saying it, but I'll maybe give a bit of an anecdote. I like the way South African nurses put it, where a male patient will be in a ward with a complication of something. And it often complicates something that's important to the male.
Sure.
Whether it's performance, whether it's how they look physically, but it compromises something important to them. So the nurses will often say, you are fine until this thing affected X.
Yeah.
Now you're here. And the problem, I think, with us as men, particularly black men, until something hurts your pride and affects the way that you come across, we don't take it seriously.
Sure.
But often once it's at that point, it's far gone. It's too serious. Maybe if it's a cancer, it's spread. If it's an infection, it's already too far. So I think my take home is like the same way that, and I've said this before online, the same way that women talk about stuff. So with guys will talk, hey, Manchester, hey, politics, whatever. But it's never like, yo, dude, I had an itch in a place I've never had it before.
Sure.
What could that be? If we can start having that conversation before things become compromising, before it's a prideful thing, but just like normalize the conversation about vulnerable stuff, about personal stuff, physical stuff. That's the pivot point. Once we can do that, we'll be headed in the right direction.
Sure. It's dope, man. I don't know how else that could be louder and clearer, but yeah, let's not let it get there, because by then it's too late. Wow, man. Bro, appreciate you.
Brother.
Thanks, man, for
Appreciate
pulling
being
through.
on the pod.
And yeah, this is not the last time. Yes, you should pull
forward.
through more often.
Look
And I know there'll probably be requests and comments. What's your page? What's your page on TikTok?
Oh, this is actually the first time I do it, so I don't know it. Like, everyone has like a follow me ad.
Yes.
I don't have that. So if you go on TikTok and you type in Ask a Doctor 09, or you type in Dr. Ramashia, it should pop up. I hope, but that's me.
Or we'll put a link to
on the
appreciate that, because that stuff is informative, man.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, please check that out, bro. Appreciate you. Please thank Bethany for us. Thank the boys for us.
Will do. Will
It
do.
wasn't just your story, but it's her story as well.
Yeah, I put her out there.
Yeah. So
She must know.
so thank her for us.
Yeah.
And we acknowledge that, part of how you express your gift of being a husband is God gave her to you. Right. So yeah.
True that.
You weren't just gonna be a husband on your own, Jay. Yeah. You need a mufazi, right?
Yeah.
so
No, I appreciate it.
shout outs to her and thank her, man, for borrowing you to us.
Will do.
Yeah.
Will do.
Guys, thank you for watching. We again, hope that you were blessed by this, that you found value. Guys, that this was a sobering chat, a sobering conversation. Do look after your health. There's a lot of talk about mental health, but all the stuff is related. It's not just what's happening in our mind, but it's also happening in our bodies. Our lifestyle, choices we make in terms of what we consume, and what we eat in terms of our diets, how we spend time exercising or not. So please do take this as a call for you to, like this, share it, but also go see a doctor, right? Make sure you see a doctor. We want you to be alive, right, for more of these episodes, so that you can watch and grow in your relationship, particularly as a husband. If you're not, again, I hope this was valuable for you and that you can share it with people that will find much benefit and value from this. From me and the team here at That Husband Podcast, we will see you on the next episode, right? Peace.
And sometimes, though, you have to just own up and say, you know what? Yeah,
I messed up, man.
just give me some time. I'm not ready to say sorry yet.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm not ready to say sorry yet.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Like, I'm not ready to say sorry yet. Let me just go at least my humble pie. Let me finish it. Let me process it and come back. And
I admit that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I just don't.
But no, I don't have the sorry yet. It's not there yet. It's not ready to come out yet.
That's liberating, man. Don't switch too quickly. We're still on That Husband Podcast, but I just came up here to share some exciting news that we have from the dream space. We have a new show coming called The Dopest Variety Show. And like anything dope, it's going to speak for itself. The Dopest Variety Show.
Dopest Variety Show.
Dopest Variety Show. Dopest Variety Show.
A variety show's dead. Who killed them? Not so fast, because we bringing them back bigger, bolder, better than ever.
Sure. So the evolution of the why behind my poetry has been so interesting. I've been writing for the past, I think, like 12 years. And initially it just came as this catharsis of the soul.
Growing up is that nobody knows what they're doing. Perfection is actually unattainable.
Some of my aunties were talking about the reason why Black Americans, because that was before they were African Americans, but Black Americans have long hair is because the air is different. So the hair is just long.
Like Focalistic, for example. His full artist name is Focalistic Cataclysm. Obviously, that's not the name on his ID. Can you imagine a mom giving birth and the doctor coming up like, what are you gonna name this child? Focalistic Cataclysm.
Welcome to the show that revives the magic of the 90s with a modern twist, where retro vibes meet fresh perspectives and classic entertainment collides with today's conversations. Buckle up for the ultimate experience, because the next big thing is here. Welcome to the Dopest Variety Show.